Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more eye-opening documentaries, and share it with friends who love history, because what you are about to hear is a story that will completely change the way you see the Philippines and its past. It all started with a dig. Archaeologists working in the Philippines thought they were looking at just another excavation site, another layer of earth with the usual pottery, bones, and traces of ancient settlements. But what they uncovered was far beyond anything they expected. It was not just a discovery of tools or artifacts, it was evidence that rewrote the timeline of human history in the Philippines, and possibly the entire region of Southeast Asia. The Philippines, often seen as a country shaped by colonial powers and foreign influences, suddenly revealed a hidden chapter that proved it had a history far older, far deeper, and far more important than most of the world ever imagined. For decades, historians believed the Philippines was a land that people only settled later, a place shaped by migration from neighboring countries like China, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The common story was simple waves of Austronesian settlers came by boat, built communities, and slowly spread across the islands. But then came the shocking finds at Quirao Cave in northern Luzon. In 2007, a team of Filipino and international archaeologists unearthed a tiny foot bone, no bigger than a coin. At first glance, it seemed insignificant, but detailed study revealed it belonged to a previously unknown species of ancient human. They called it Homo luzonensis, a human relative that lived over 67,000 years ago. This discovery pushed back the history of humans in the Philippines by tens of thousands of years. It showed that long before the Austronesians, long before the Spanish, and long before modern Filipinos, there were already humans thriving in these islands. This was not just a new chapter, it was an entirely different book. The Quirao Cave discovery shook the scientific world. Suddenly, the Philippines was not just a stopover in human migration, it was a cradle of early human life. The small bones showed a unique mix of traits, some similar to modern humans, some resembling ancient species like Homo erectus, and others unlike anything seen before. This suggested that the Philippines was home to a unique branch of humanity, isolated and evolving in its own way. It raised questions nobody had answers for. How did they get there? How did they survive? And why did they disappear? The islands, separated by deep waters, were never easy to reach. Yet somehow, over 67,000 years ago, ancient humans crossed seas to settle there. This proved that early humans had the skill to travel long before many thought possible.
And this was not the only shocking find. In 2018, archaeologists digging in Kalinga unearthed something even more dramatic: a set of butchered rhinoceros bones dating back over 700,000 years. Yes, you heard that right. Over 700,000 years ago, humans or human relatives were in the Philippines hunting and using tools. The bones showed clear-cut marks from stone tools, proving that ancient humans had not only reached the islands but were thriving there far earlier than anyone thought. This completely shattered the old theory that humans only reached Southeast Asia much later. It suggested the Philippines was one of the earliest homes of ancient mankind, a forgotten center of prehistory. Imagine that for a moment. While much of Europe was still dominated by early humans struggling through the Ice Age, people in the Philippines were already carving out a life, adapting to the islands, and leaving behind evidence that we are only now beginning to uncover. This changes everything we thought we knew about migration, survival, and human intelligence. The Philippines was not a latecomer to history, it was one of its earliest chapters. But discoveries like these also spark debates. Some scientists argue that the ancient people of the Philippines may have been related to Homo floresiensis, the so-called hobbit humans found in Indonesia. Others believe they may represent an entirely new species that evolved in isolation. Whatever the truth, one fact is clear: the Philippines was not empty. It was alive, filled with human activity, and part of the grand story of humanity much earlier than anyone imagined. The implications go far beyond archaeology. These discoveries give Filipinos a new sense of identity. For centuries, the Philippines was portrayed as a land without history before colonialism, a blank slate filled only when outsiders arrived. But the bones, tools, and artifacts prove otherwise. The islands were not waiting to be discovered, they already held unique cultures and species long before outsiders came. This is not just science, it is pride, a reminder that the roots of the Philippines stretch back into the dawn of humanity itself. Yet these discoveries also raise mysteries. What happened to Homo luzonensis? Why did they vanish? Did they encounter other humans like the ancestors of today's Filipinos? Did they leave behind traditions, stories, or genes that still echo today? And how much of Philippine history is still buried under the soil, waiting to be found? Archaeologists believe we have barely scratched the surface. The caves, forests, and mountains of the Philippines may hold countless secrets that could change not only Philippine history but the history of the entire human race. Beyond the bones, there are other shocking finds too. Ancient gold artifacts, centuries old, show that long before colonization, Filipinos had advanced craftsmanship and rich cultures. The discovery of the Golden Terra in Mindanao, the Laguna copperplate inscription, and other treasures proves that the islands had thriving trade and culture connected with India, China, and other civilizations. The Philippines was not an isolated land, it was part of a global network long before Europeans set sail. Every new find tears down the myth that the Philippines was a passive player in history. Instead, it was an active hub where people, ideas, and cultures met. These archaeological discoveries also change how we see the present. If ancient humans could cross seas to reach the Philippines 700,000 years ago, it means the skills of navigation, survival, and adaptation run deep in the blood of the islands. It means Filipinos are descendants of explorers, survivors, and innovators who conquered nature long before maps or modern tools. It gives a new perspective to the courage of the seafarers, traders, and fighters who shaped the archipelago. But this story is not over. Every year, new digs, new tools, and new technology reveal more. DNA studies, advanced scanning, and underwater archaeology promise to uncover secrets still hidden. Imagine what else lies beneath the forests, the caves, the seas. Could there be entire lost civilizations waiting to be revealed? Could the Philippines hold evidence that reshapes not only Asian history but the history of humanity itself? The answer may come sooner than we think, as scientists continue to search, dig, and uncover what was once thought impossible. This is the shocking truth. The Philippines is not just a land of colonial history or modern struggles. It is a land with one of the oldest and most fascinating stories of humanity. The bones of Homo luzonensis, the tools that butchered a rhinoceros 700,000 years ago, the gold, the inscriptions, and the endless secrets still buried, they all point to a truth that changes everything. The Philippines is not at the edges of history. It is at its very center. So, the next time someone says the Philippines has no ancient story, remember the caves of Callao, the bones of Luzon, and the treasures of its soil. They tell us that the history of the Philippines is not just local, it is part of the human journey itself. And as archaeologists continue to dig, one thing is certain: the discoveries will keep coming, and each one will bring us closer to understanding not only where the Philippines came from, but where humanity itself began. This is the archaeologist's shocking discovery that changes Philippine history. And this is only the beginning.